welcome back to 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. I am Connor Lastoka, and after a brief hiatus whereupon we trucked through time and cat burglar day building in British Columbia, we are back to discuss a brand new book, and back as always is Mike Nelson, who has returned from his own vacation. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'd like to say to everyone out there, including you, Connor, damn it, boy, is how I'd like to greet you all.
Right.
That includes men, women, whatever. Damn it, boys, all of you.
Yeah, it's a y'all type of thing. It's inclusive of all. Boys is a universal term when used in the context of a damn it.
Yes, yeah, it solves a linguistic problem the same way that y'all does. Mm-hmm. I like y'all a lot. I wish I could use it. I feel like it's kind of like smoking a pipe. It's not really something I can do and pull off.
Yeah, it's stolen valor is sort of how I feel about it.
Exactly. But yes, I have returned from the road. Frankly, I went out looking for answers, Connor. I was shaken up by the book, the things that book posited about the universe just
made you
me
think.
To my core.
Mm-hmm.
There was religious and philosophic overtones that rocked me a bit, and I went out looking for answers, like many pilgrims. I hit the road.
It was sort of like Charles E. Harris was your Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society. He made you question what you had believed up to this point.
Oh, my captain, Charles E. Harris.
Savages, so, my real savages.
Yeah, and like a lot of pilgrims out on the road, I learned a lot. I gazed into my inner soul, and I realized that I had to click my heels and come home, because home is where the answer is, because that is where Pappy Pariah has been working for the past few. That's right. The release date. I had to make it back for the release date.
It was
Bob Honey.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy though, because you were traveling for a wedding that was happening actually the day after the release date, but you told your beloved relatives that you I'm sorry I came here, but I have to be back. Because Bob Honey...
You will find another best man. My best man is Bob Honey.
Bob Honey, who sings Jimmy Crack Corn, was released 2 days ago from when we're recording this. 9/10. The can't put that significance past Sean Penn. You have to imagine he knew people would be doing their own reflecting this week. It's been yesterday was a sad day, but Sean Penn wanted to bring some joy into the world this week.
Sean Penn, you can see with that release date, him raising his eyebrows meaningfully to the whole world of book lovers everywhere. Huh? Do you see what I did there?
But I haven't heard anything about it, actually, though. I haven't.
Surprisingly, you haven't. The newspapers haven't been spinning up into your face, going, Sean Penn released his second Bob Honey book.
I do listen to a guy. Bill Simmons does a every week. He guesses the NFL football lines with Jimmy Kimmel's cousin Sal, and I've been listening to that for about a decade to get my fantasy football information. He said he was going to interview Bob Honey, Sean Penn on that podcast. That's the only media attention I've heard given to it, so that could be worth a listen. But as of now, 0 reviews on Amazon.com, and it is currently it's a 148,000 best ranked book. Which when I've sold my books, that means someone bought a copy yesterday, and it will then go back up to the 200,000, and then by the end of the week, I'm sure 500,000. So doesn't look like it's.
I'm very curious about this going on a sports podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do that?
I mean,
I seem like a pretty dour chap to be bandying about with those. I'm sure it sort of gets shouty and funny in body and
right. He's going to do the thing where he's just like he turns out he's got Terrence Mann from Field of Dreams-esque memories of like one game from his youth that he has fond memories of, but gives no indication that he's actually watched a sporting event over the next 3 decades. No, I really loved the 1982 Mets, man. It was they were an underrated team.
So what are you guys doing here anyway? You're just wasting your life, big drag off of a cigarette.
Yeah, Sean, we were prepared to discuss the Antonio Brown saga, But it appears that you were on a conference call with El Chapo. So, all right.
You know what? For a livelier interview, let's get Billy Bob Thornton in here. That guy's a ray of sunshine. Come on in, Billy Bob.
My friend who I've mentioned, who is done work with Sean Penn in Haiti, I told him, I told him saw him over my vacation. We were doing, talking about the podcast and work and stuff, and I told him what we've been reading, and he sort of like, did a double take. When I told him we had read Bob Honey, he said, "You read that?" And this is someone who said this guy helped out a lot. He said he's a crazy guy, but he told him there's a guy who runs a lot of the charitable and the hospital in Haiti. He's a father, a priest, I guess. And he said Sean Penn asked him if he wanted a meeting with who was the head of Venezuela.
Oh, is it Chavez?
Yeah, Sean Penn asked if he could set something up with that, and he said that the father nearly spit his drink out. He said it was an actual suppressed spit take when that offer was made. So,
wow,
quite a character.
He's always cracking people up.
But all this is to say that we will not be reading Bob Honey Sings Jimmy Crack Corn.
Yep,
on
a
this
lot of
podcast.
you were sitting there listening to this misdirect, gripping your chair rails tightly, going, "No."
People have already left with a gun to try to seek us out to prevent us from doing this. But no, that's we hated the first one, and I can't imagine this is going to bring anything new to the perception of that.
The concept of the podcast is not where we read through books we think are going to be a hellish slog. that just happened to be,
right.
But we're not seeking those out anymore.
Right. But if you do read it, if you are, people went out and read more Dwight David Thrash books after the first one. So if you are that type of person who happens to read terrible books without a wisecracking podcast to go along with, let us know how it was. We're very curious. I'm very curious. I'm curious how the singing of Jimmy Crack Corn might work into the plot.
Yeah, if there's, I figure there's someone who would want to do that would be some of you will know him, a low tax type who just has a very, very high threshold, far above ours. And so if you want to read it and report in, we'd gladly go, look at it through your eyes with little excerpts and letters that you send in. But nope, not reading that.
Okay. What we are going to read, though, we have another book picked out that seemed like a little more, we're getting into the Halloween season, the spooky season. So we thought that this might be a good book to sort of take us into October. Shorter book, and it's going to be more of an author that's, for the most part, well-respected, a household name, and the oldest book we've ever read on this podcast. So I think it'll be a good change of pace. Yeah,
I mean, this is a guy, I think, one of the most well-known authors in the English language, I think you could say. I mean,
sure.
There's no one who doesn't know his name. There's no one who doesn't know the derivatives of his most famous book. I have read it. I read it long before we decided to do this. His work rests entirely on one piece, I think, his reputation rests on one work, which we are not going to be doing. We're going to be doing one of his lesser-known works.
Yes, his B-side, as you put it. And this author, of course, is Tom Arnold. This is
household name. Spooky, Halloween, yes.
Sure,
Tom
yes.
Arnold.
No, the author is Bram Stoker, and we're going to not read Dracula. We're going to read his other book, his I don't know what you'd call it, but anyway, yes, his B-side. It is called The Lair of the White Worm. So right off,
Norm Macdonald reading on that.
Right off the bat, you've got a title that doesn't strike the same sort of note as just the simple Dracula.
Yeah, and let's look at movie derivatives thereof. Let's see, Dracula, 400,000 and counting.
Oh yes,
Lair of the White Worm. 1, I believe. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think there were any others.
I don't think so. Yeah. So it was a 1911 book, And it was also then abridged, I guess, in 1925. That seems to be the prevalent copy, is this one with 28 chapters. It's on Amazon for very inexpensive, and it's on Project Gutenberg, which we will link to in all the ebook forums so you can read it for free. And then the movie was 1988. I'd never heard of it, but it has well-known people in it. Hugh Grant, which should be entertaining, and Peter Capaldi, who was in Doctor Who.
And local hero.
Of course.
Yes. So is Hugh Grant is going to be? I see that there's a lair here. There appears to be a I don't know, white worm.
Well, this is
that's what I anticipated.
This has if you could deliver this same line read in that same sort of voice, the Wikipedia page has an illustration from, I guess, the original version, and it's all I needed to really sell me on it. It appears to be like a you know what, it looks like one of those undersea creatures that is like lives like well below where light penetrates the ocean. It's like one of those type of worms. It is towering above some very large trees. It has two little fins, and then it is shooting lasers out of its eyes. There are two people observing it, one who I assume is Hugh Grant, and it says the illumination, the what this is meant to illustrate is they could follow the tall white shaft. So if we could get that as in Hugh Grantese.
We could follow the tall white shaft.
So if that's what we're in for, it seems extremely, extremely promising to me. And this book was recommended by a Patreon supporter. Just this is how well thought we have this out. I posted the final Trucking Through Time. As for recommendations, he recommended this one. This was Adam Smith. He says, it's an old story, relatively short read, but a deeply weird one, and pretty darn racist to boot. So that's always intriguing. And it says, if you wanted to make the case that Stoker was a one-hit wonder, this book would be Exhibit A. And he's not the only one. One critic called it one of the most spectacularly incoherent novels ever to reach print. H.P. Lovecraft himself also dissed it. It was in Twilight Zone's magazine's number 12 worst horror novels ever written, and it's on the Wikipedia page for books considered the worst.
So some enterprising producer brought this package into a studio and said, hey, you know what movie we haven't made yet? One based on the bottom selling. Like, how do you sell that?
Yeah, it wasn't even like on the heels of the Gary Oldman Dracula movie where Bram Stoker mania was sweeping the country. It was like 5 years before that.
So in the pitch meeting, the guy's like, how would you like to do Bram Stoker's other book? And they, that sounds interesting. What is it? Let me just look it up on my computer here. And then you kick the cord out of the wall. And
right. Internet appears to be down, I guess. But hey,
yes, but
what could go wrong?
It's another Bram Stoker book. That's all you need to know.
Well, like Mary Shelley has that reputation too, and there's the somewhat conspiracy theory, right? Like it's sort of a sexist theory that she maybe didn't write that book.
Oh, I think she wrote that book because it's terrible.
Okay,
it's the book of a 19-year-old. Yeah,
right. But
awful.
That's the same sort of deal. Is that that was also a one-hit wonder. So it's pretty amazing that those two famous monster books are both of that same nature.
Did you read Dracula?
No, I've not.
The gig is that it's epistolatory. Am I saying that? Is that my Ogden?
I don't. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. It's letters, right?
It's purely letters. It's pretty entertaining, although it also gets a little bit incoherent. The plot doesn't exactly race forward. You kind of have to pry the material out of the letters a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed it way more than I enjoyed Frankenstein. So I don't know what to make of this. It's not like I'm a fan. It's not like I ever rushed out to read whatever else Bram Stoker wrote. So I'm just getting around to it now.
Nice. I think that this should be this should work out pretty well for us. It's shorter, like we said, but it's all signs point to it being terrible and in unique, possibly offensive ways. So I'm extremely excited.
I am holding the book right now. I want to just give you just a quick physical description. It has sort of a fake It's about the size of a Dwight David Thrash book,
Ooh.
which surprised me. And I'm not really a fan of that layout, but it's manageable. It's like a magazine. It's about like a half of an Esquire,
Sure.
or an Esquire if you took the ads out. And it's got like fake script, like leather on the cover, and then scroll work around the edges. But then when you open it up, the first page, the title page, I'm not good with fonts, but it's damn near Comic Sans.
Wow.
In 48-point type on the front. And then on the back, in the leather, fake leather embossing, is the words, and you can see the 8-bit. You can see the digital edges of it.
Oh my God.
Is the two words. I'll do my best. Mindiev, MNDE with a little accente, and V, Mindiev. And then the next is just a mess. It looks like AYAV, but there's accents on one A and none on the other. So Mindiev Ayev is what I got for you.
So
I'm sure Alicia could give me a better read on that, but I don't know what that is.
So is that the Ukrainian guy who's just like uploading these PD books to Amazon's publishing platform and getting the 75 cents every time someone buys it? Is that his name?
I don't know. It doesn't read like a name. It's all lowercase on the second one. And by the way, the Y could be a V for all I know. It's sort of a curly Q.
Delightful.
So anyway.
Well, I took a look inside on Amazon. I haven't got my copies arriving today, but I'm very intrigued. I just looked at the chapter titles just to see if we could tell what we were in for. And I already have a favorite character. Chapter 13 is entitled Oolonga's Hallucinations. But it appears I'm not going to get too attached because chapter 18 is titled Exit Oolonga. So, I mean, we've got to we've got to read it to find out what happens. Maybe there's a chance she.
Quick question. Does Oolonga have lipstick smeared all over her teeth?
I don't know. I think she might have been trafficked to a different country at a young age and forced to use the bucket in the back of the van.
Okay. The Caswalls of Castra Regis is a title.
Okay.
So that sounds pretty highfalutin.
That's where you navigate to by following the long white shaft.
Yes. The chest opened. That's promising.
Okay.
Mesmer's chest is another title.
Chest focused.
Yeah.
All right.
And the kite. So you got the high and the low there.
All right. Well, this will be the type of thing where, like, we read it, we decide that it does suck, and then someone will say, no. Of course, you read the abridged version, like the director's original version is what makes it good. If you add in more of the stuff that's crap, then it ceases to be crap, the way people do with DC Comics movies and stuff like that. No. The one you saw, of course, yes, that 2.5 hour version of Superman versus Batman, that was terrible. Add in more footage, however.
Yes. There's always a Gnostic cult who goes out into the desert with the knowledge that there's a perfect version of something out there, and they try to convince the rest of us.
Yeah.
No. If you only had the secret knowledge,
right,
then perhaps I'm trying to think of a movie that I won't offend everyone when I say, okay, all right, Blade Runner, all right?
Yes.
Blade Runner.
Yep, that was it for a long time.
That
was it.
Assuring us there was a polished version of this that was perfection.
Ernest Cline knew.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's it. We're going to read through the first 8 chapters of Lair of the White Worm for the first time. And but before that, we've got our a live show that by the time you hear this, it'll be just a couple days away. We're doing it at Sisyphus Brewing in Minneapolis on Wednesday, September 18th. I'm flying out in just a couple days.
Less than a week away, yeah. Why don't we, I think it'll be riveting if we talk about, Connor, any dietary needs? What can we stock your fridge with?
I'm doing a full, I'm doing the White Claw diet these days. Nothing but spiked seltzer.
Also, I'm going to short sheet your bed and put cellophane over your toilet. It's going to be hilarious.
I will laugh. That was imagine that when short sheeting your bed was the height of entertainment. Nowadays,
either that or go stuff yourself in a phone booth. There was not a lot to do, okay?
I saw a YouTube prank the other day, which was like a guy put their 5-year-old son on an ATV And then when his wife turned away, he replaced it with a dummy, sent it like off a ramp, and had it explode in the woods. Like that's where pranks have gotten to. She
where
thought
where do I visit this gentleman in jail, or I assume one of his relatives has beaten him to death and left him in the woods.
Divorce court is where you might find him. But yeah, so that's what a prank is now, not the short cheating your bed variety.
When I was a kid, my mother did that to my father. She thought it would be funny if that I faked an injury, and she put like ketchup on her. I was very young, and my dad did not fall for it at all. I think he's the only reason they remained married after that, because I think I started laughing immediately or something. But
my mom pulled
those pranks they've been around a while.
My mom pulled a great prank on me. It was in 4th grade, and I came downstairs, and it was April Fool's Day, but I was supposed to go to my friend Andrew's birthday party, where we were going to see Teenage Ninja Turtles 2, co-starring Vanilla Ice, and she told me that she had asked me to clean my room, and I hadn't done it, so I couldn't go to the birthday party, and I immediately burst into tears, and she struggled to be like, no, April Fools. So again, it was about the level of the faking your kid's death. It was like no real nuance to it, but she has sworn off practical jokes, April Fool's jokes since then.
I did one that I thought was just going to be immediately dismissed when I brought my boys to the racetrack in San Diego, and they were in the back seat. Or so I said, call mom and tell her, give her an update or something. And I said, no, tell her that I something snapped in me, and I'm just won't leave the betting booth, and I've spent all of our money. And my son was a little better actor than I ever anticipated.
Wow.
He got on the phone, and then I heard on the other end, "What? Oh my God!" I was like, "No, stop! What are you doing?" He just like leaned into the performance. I was like, "No, it was just a obvious, a tease. Like, shut up. When are you guys going to be home?" Was what I was expecting.
Right.
I had to go home, with roses and.
Instead, she's like, "Oh my God! I always knew this was lurking somewhere within him. I was like, it's been the greatest fear of our marriage."
Quickly accept that. I have never had any propensity towards it. So we're ruined.
So this is all a big setup to announce that we have been joking. We're reading Bob Honey Sings Jimmy Crack Corn.
Ha ha, gotcha. Double switch.
You believed it. We're not. We're reading Bram Stoker. But should we talk about the live show, or should that just be a surprise? We've got a fun thing picked out for that. It's going to have a lot of material.
Oh, I think we might as well. Because so few people, I think, can get to the actual event versus those who might be interested. Why not let them know what we're going to be doing?
Well, we thought since we had such a good time with the last live show, and since this would not be really suitable for an extended podcast treatment because it's so short, we were going to get the other book, the third book that Ernest Cline has written, the Importance of Being Earnest, his poetry, and his collected poetry works, and we were going to just sort of examine those on stage, take a good hard look at some of his spoken word pieces, which we've of course seen some of them circulate. And some of them I flipped through it for the first time yesterday are brand new to us, and oh boy,
holy moly, it is shocking. And once again, we have to dive into the history of those who praised this man and praised these works.
It's truly incredible, because I was texting you last night. I was just sort of flipping through and not really diving in too much because I wanted to be able to devote solid time to it. But you don't want to feel, like you're beating up on someone here, but I said all you're going to have to do is read these, and people are going to be laughing and aghast because they're just, the words speak for themselves.
Yeah, I'm shocked, and also I texted you. This is a very slim volume of words. Poem is not it's quite a stretch.
Sure.
But flip it over, $15 cover price.
Yes, yeah.
What the hell, man?
So I'm glad
I wrote novels that were half that price.
I am glad we're not going to be instructing our readers to actually get the book. So it'll be you'll be able to just listen to this. We can listen to some of our maybe interpretations of it, and we'll save everybody having to spend the $15 to make the rich any richer.
And we hope to have guest readers.
Yes.
To lend their own talents, their special special twist on the material. So that should be a special surprise.
It should be very fun. But yeah, so come out to Sisyphus Brewing on 9/18 and see us there. If not, we've been assured wholeheartedly that the AV is going to work out this time, and we'll be able to share it with people after the fact.
We've also been assured that because it is a micro brewing company, that there will be a hazy IPA somewhere in the room. I'm guessing there will also be a chocolate stout somewhere in there, or a nitro product of some sort. So.
There is a poem in the Ernest Cline book that, my God, if you can get through it without 4 hazy IPAs, you have a stronger will than me. It's, oh my God, it's because everyone's read the one about the geek girls and stuff like that. This one, I mean, somehow has not circulated, but it is. If you've ever read Harry Knowles' review of Blade 2, you might have a sense of what this poem is getting into. And oh my God, I thought there was nobody I wanted to hear talk about that less than Harry Knowles, but man.
There's also a few haikus sprinkled around the book, and haikus, the last refuge of a scoundrel, and man, is this guy a scoundrel.
Absolutely, yes. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Yes, so please come out. That is, the timeline from when you're listening, we can't know. So it's Wednesday, September 18th, in a few scant days.
Yeah. Oh, and if you've made it this far, someone told us that it was against Patreon's terms of service to do random giveaways on there, which I guess makes sense. Otherwise, it would turn it into some sort of lottery. But I don't think there's any harm in saying, if you want our copies of Trucking Through Time that we read and I guess I took notes in, if you want to win those, send an email to 372pages@gmail.com and just put giveaway in the subject line. And we will pick a winner based on that. And we're putting this up, as always, early for Patreon supporters. So no one will be able to enter that unless they are a Patreon supporter. If you're listening to this and aren't, do not send an email. We would have already picked a winner by the time this is released to the general public. But again, if you email 372pages@gmail.com and put giveaway in the subject line, we'll pick one of those people and send you our copies.
And I should note, my copy will be pristine. I tend to read off of an electronic version so that I can it's more easy for me to make notes.
Yes.
I will sign it for you unless you expressly wish me not to sign it, which I understand. But and Connor's, I assume, will be marked up like a Hollywood script from the 30s. Is that right?
Yeah, except that it's just like... My pen started to go in this one, and I didn't replace it. So my handwriting, which is already terrible, is just even more of a palsied scrawl. So I think it's unique. That's for sure.
Let's bring that. Let's if we're gonna have good AV, I want to put your handwriting up on a big screen up at the Sisyphus Brewing. Yeah. Let everyone know the challenges that one faces when he works with a Connor Listoka.
Oh man, it's I used to get C's in elementary school. They would give you a handwriting grade, and I would get a C.
And then we will be issuing each other tongue twisters. Mine will, of course, be based on Ogden. Connor, you can work on your own however you want.
In the context of that Ernest Cline poem, do not say tongue twister.
Oh dear. It must be one I haven't read yet.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, so there you go. Looking forward to Bram Stoker's Lair of the White Worm. Looking forward to Sisyphus Brewing on September 18th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Right near downtown. So if you need travel plans, you've got everything is right there. It's just off of downtown. So.
All right. See you there.
So long, everyone. This is 372 Pages. We'll never get back.
Goodbye.